Quintin Hilburn, driver for the 479 Tribe 16 car out of Bentonville, Arkansas. Yeah, playing in the dirt when I was a kid. You know, Hot Wheels, bicycles, to mini bikes, to dirt bikes, to dune buggies, to race cars. It just progressed since I've always had the need for speed. I got to actually participate in a race in Florida in a buddy of mine's VW when I was about 17. And I was definitely hooked at that point. Well, you know, I've always been a rock crawler, love to four-wheel. We've been riding razors and sand running for years and years, and I finally just decided I wanted to try to achieve something big and great, and never really knew that much about hammers till several years ago, but once I saw it and kind of followed it for a couple of years, I decided it was time for me to try to give it a chance and get into the Ultra 4 world. I bought that car from Chris Summertime Racing. It was formerly car 678. I bought it because I'd done some research, and in the price bracket that I wanted to be in, the car was available for King of Hammers last year, already qualified, which really kind of fit the bill. And Chris and I got together and we ended up buying his entire race setup, trailer, spare parts, the whole thing. And 6 weeks later, we hit this lake bed for the first attempt that we did last year. King of the Hammers 2019, cold, wet, rainy, breakdowns, qualified I think 93rd, hit a big rock qualifying, tore the whole front end out of the car, tore the rear end out of the car. We had steering issues that year. We literally, the guys that were with me, they worked non-stop all week long to try to get the car back together, and we did get it in the race. Ultimately, I think we were at the 53-mile marker or something like that last year, and we had an electrical issue that took us out. Yeah, we ran the Tennessee race, did okay. We had another rear end issue. The top four-link ripped off the rear end on the last lap of that race, and we weren't going to be on the podium, it didn't look like at that point, but we were having a good day. Oklahoma, you know, we had kind of the same situation. We went into that race. James and I were probably a mile into the first lap of about 21 miles. Lost a rear tire, made a bad decision. We ran on a rim for the rest of that lap of 20-some miles, came into the pits, cost us a lot of time, tore out a brake line. But we got the car back in the game, and we were down to our last lap in Oklahoma, and the rear end gave up. I mean, just literally obliterated the full third member. So it took us out, but that was kind of our season. Oh my. Well, Tribe 16, the guys down there, Lance and Ryan and, you know, all the guys, Matt Howell, the whole team, they did an awesome job prepping the car. We took it down, they broke it out, took every wire off the car, put in the new Holley Dominator system, Holley Dash, upgraded our fuel injection system, kind of turned up the supercharger a little bit, and then got Super Dave Doremus, I think is how you say it. He came in and tuned the car. Couldn't be happier with the way things went. We had a couple glitches, but you know, we're at King of Hammers and this is kind of tough territory. Our strategy was a little different this year. You know, we don't operate with a big budget. We do not have a big sponsor other than me. So we didn't run real hard. We kept the car together, made sure it was right, and then we broke it out for qualifying. Felt pretty good about where we ended up starting the race. You know, we weren't going to push the car even qualifying because we knew we couldn't break it. We had to have a car to race in, and believe me, this is definitely a race of 60% if you're going to finish, unless you have an amazing machine and an unlimited budget. Wow, there's so much to it. It's hard to say. You know, James and I settled in really quick, and we got into the first section of the desert, and I forget how many miles that whole loop is. It's 70 miles or something like that. But the distance and the roughness between Hammertown and Pit 1 was unbelievable. The whoops were big. The car did not like them. They were just spaced to where it really didn't suck them up very well. There were a lot of really gotcha rocks and tons of big kickers out in the desert. Once we got through the couple desert loops and dropped into the rocks, you know, James and I just went to work, and you know, that kid is amazing. He can pick a line. He can understand when I don't want to do a line. He does everything good with the radio and his setup and communication, and we were having a good time. I mean, we got through the rocks, and we made our second lap, and we're really hooting it up in the car at that point. You know, you got that feeling that you think you can make it. And unfortunately, we got into, I think, I can't remember which one it was that aftershocks where we got taken out, but we had lost a water pump, or not a water pump, but a power steering pump on the car, and we were in the middle of the rocks. James and I got out, went to work. You know, we spent about an hour or so there getting that changed, got back in the car, got going, felt good about it again. We're having fun. Got into aftershock, and there was a car that was wadded up and turned over, and a couple cars that were positioned in there. And we were trying to figure out whether we should even take the 2-hour penalty and take the around route, you know, take the easy road, which wasn't but about 100 yards long that we had taken that cut, but they would have given us a 2-hour penalty. We chose to play the game right. We stayed in the rocks, got up there and bumped a rock in the right spot, and it knocked the fitting off the front end, and we lost all steering. And at that point, it became a foot race for James. And I mean, there again, he just stepped up, put on his tennis shoes, and took out across the rocks and across the desert to go get a part. Unfortunately, time didn't allow us to get the part back to the car, get the car together, and still be in time for our last checkpoint. So we had to DNF at that point. Total disappointment, but you know, I'm proud of our effort. We made it further than a lot of people that came out here and brought a lot of better stuff. So.
My name is James King. I'm Quintin's co-driver in the 479 car. And Quintin and I have been teamed up and working together for about 2 years now. This is our second King of the Hammers. And we have had some pretty awesome runs together, and this year was no exception. Well, my love for motorsports started pretty early with motorcycles, and that still continues today. My little brother and I got bikes when we were real young, and we started racing locally, hare scrambles in Arkansas, and over time we sort of progressed until we were both in the pro class and racing, and then sort of in between that time, Ultra 4 kind of came into the picture as well. And we live in Hot Springs, Arkansas, right next to Hot Springs Off-Road Park, and Ultra 4 Racing used to do a qualifier there. And we knew the park like the back of our hands, so we came out and we helped volunteer and we worked, and we really fell in love with the series and the horsepower and every aspect of the race. So we decided that we were going to go to California and we were going to see exactly how it went. And we went and we raced King of the Motos on bikes, and we did that for the next 4 years, volunteering to work out here and racing the bikes at the same time. And then the King of the Motos took a break one year, so it looked like I wasn't going to be able to come out here to race anything. We were still planning on coming out and working, but you know, it seemed like we'd be not racing in King of the Hammers for the first time in about 4 or 5 years. And right about that time, Quintin and I met each other through some mutual friends, and he had just purchased the race car, and we decided that we were going to do King of the Hammers together as a team, and we came out the first year, and we had some mechanical issues that took us out pretty early, but we learned a lot and we became a better team and raced a few races throughout the year, and then that brought us to this year, and this year was the best one we've ever had. This year we decided that we weren't going to spend a whole lot of time in the race car pre-race here. The car was prepped immaculately by Tribe 16, and we wanted to be sure that it stayed that way going into this year's race so we didn't have any issues. And then that's exactly what we did. We did some pre-running in the Razors. First thing we did in the race car was qualifying. We went out and practiced, and we decided that we were going to make it through qualifying without destroying anything. And that's what we did. We went out and we qualified 71st, I believe, which is not bad, not first, not last, but it definitely put us in a pretty decent position to get out of some situations in the desert and in the rocks. We started yesterday's race with a nice, clean, fresh race car. And working in the co-driver's seat has a lot of responsibilities, but I really enjoy that position, and I love riding alongside Quintin and being in that race car and navigating and monitoring the car and doing everything I can to be sure that we get to a finish line. This race is pretty much all scary. There's a lot of situations that make you pucker throughout the whole day. I mean, by race mile 4 or 5, I'd say it was, we had already made some pretty hard contact with another race car, and he went up on his side, and it was definitely a pretty tough situation there. You know, somebody described it really well. It's pretty much like a 12-hour car wreck.
You know, there's every bit of it's scary at points, but we were out in the desert, and we had a guy that come up from beside us, and I'll leave his car nameless just because, but he came across us from a side trail. There was about 4 runs through there, and he decided he needed to come around on ours, and he clipped the front tire, and I was probably more scared that that guy was really going to get hurt because the action that he took. We got it rear-ended once. That was a little bit of a uh-oh, you know, big hole in the back of the car. We about lost it in the whoops one time. I was in the back and pushing it a little bit, and car got out, and had to get control of it, and we were able to do that. You know, in the rocks, you know, there's heart beaters out there for sure. I mean, anybody that say that they don't kind of hold their breath and just mash the pedal is either fearless or stupid. The fans, you know, being a nobody in this sport and looking up for a brief moment, going down Chocolate Thunder or dropping off back door, and people are clapping like you're really something. That was probably the most epic to me, is just, you know, the people and how they just celebrate what we're doing.
It's a good question. We did some really awesome rock crawling. We raced our whole first lap and our entire second lap in the rocks, and never got out of the race car. Every single hammer trail we were able to crawl without getting stuck, without having to winch, barely even put it in reverse. And that right there is pretty epic to me, that pretty much a rookie team was able to navigate pretty much every hammer trail here without even having to get out of the race car. We are a grassroots team here, and everybody involved on this team deserves everything in the world. Quintin and Lori have been working their butts off to be sure that this happens, and I know this has been a dream of Quintin since he was a little boy, and I feel really honored to have been chosen to help him achieve that goal. My girlfriend Megan has been here you know, both years and every race we've competed in, helping it with anything she can. My dad is an incredible mechanic, an incredible fabricator, and he goes all out to be sure that that race car is ready before the race and make sure that everything is ready during the race. Chris this year did an exceptionally good job, especially not knowing what he was getting into, but he definitely did his best, and we definitely love him for it. Tribe 16 did an amazing job as well, helping us out all day long yesterday. And you know, we have a small team, and we work as a group, and it's a pretty awesome family to be in.
Oh my gosh, James, of course. Lori, you know, she fed a bunch of people for a long time this week. You know, Scott King, he's our nuclear scientist, I call him, James's dad. Scotty King, he came over and stepped in. Like to really shout out to Chris Luttrell. He's a general superintendent for our construction company, and he came out here and spent 2 weeks on the lake bed. And he didn't know anything about Ultra 4. And he knows a whole lot more now, and he worked his butt off, you know. Gosh, all the other teams from Northwest Arkansas and all the people that came around that helped us. I mean, it's amazing the family that you get when you come to Ultra 4. Yeah, I mean, you know, my companies, of course, you know, Hilburn Builders, my partner John Engel and his son. I'd like to say thanks to them because they came out and were in pit 1 when I came through the second time. That was a huge surprise. You know, the guys over at Complete Roofing and Restoration Solutions, my partners and team people there that work every day to support me, they were awesome. You know, the Tribe 16 team, I'm very thankful for the family there. Those guys jump in and do anything for us. And I gotta say a huge shout out to a fellow racer, Rufus. That team, Rufus, Chip McLaughlin, dude, thank you. Did everything for us, pitted for us. You know, there again, it's everybody wants everybody to be on the track because they don't want to beat you because you broke. I want to beat you while you're running. And everybody has that mentality.
Back on the lake bed top speed yesterday, we went 121 miles an hour. Believe it or not, that was the least scary part of the whole race.
You know, I'm just thankful, and like I told the guys when I got out of the car, just think about it. There's only 364 more days till we do it again.